page of the Skin Cancer Clinic in Hornsby, so I thought I'd introduce her to you guys. So if you do phone up the clinic, you can speak to her. And also, she's going to be coordinating the sponsorship with the club. So if there's any things you guys want to talk, or she's going to come and hand out surprises if I'm not available. So she's the go-to person. Okay. I know it's probably not the best day, but have I ever told you guys how much sunscreen to use on each part of the body? No. Okay, Jeff, hold it.
This is on going on Harvey, is it? Put it on Harvey.
Oh my gosh, look, I've spoken all over this already.
Need a lot more than that for $1.
Double that for your mouth.
What I'm trying to say is that for each part of the body, you actually need a whole teaspoon of sunscreen or sunblock, okay? So that's about 3 or 4 mils, and that's going to be one of these on your arm, one on the other arm, one on the head, one on the chest. Well, if you're going to bowl without a shirt on, one on each leg. So you actually need a lot more sunscreen than you think. And if you don't use enough sunscreen, we're going to drip. If you don't use enough sunscreen, you're actually pretty much not using it efficiently. So if it's a 30 plus sunscreen, you're probably only using it at a factor of 2 or 3 if you don't use enough. So the important thing with sunscreen is that you actually use enough of it. Okay? And if you think about how much that is there, that's probably about 4 or 5 mils in that teaspoon. So you're going to be using like 25 or 30 mils of sunscreen every time you apply sunscreen. So if you're going to do it 2 or 3 times a day throughout the lot, you're pretty much going to use like almost 100 mils of sunscreen in a day, which is almost a whole bottle of the small bottles.
Yeah.
So if you're not using almost a whole or probably half a bottle every time you're playing bowls, you're probably not using enough sunscreen in summer. Obviously in winter when you're covered up, it's not going to be as important. The other thing is when the greens are grey like this, there's a huge amount of up reflection of sun. Obviously if they're a bit green, there won't be as much reflection, but you're going to get at least 30% of the rays actually coming up from the bottom. Okay? So even though you might have a wide brim hat on, you're going to get a lot of reflection up from the bottom when it has rained for a long time. Okay, that's pretty much all I wanted to say.
Can I ask you a question?
Of course you can.
In our men's change room here, we have a pump we put it on.
Yeah.
It's a very thick.
It can be difficult, yeah.
Does it make any difference?
No, it doesn't matter which sunscreen you use, as long, and people always ask me which is the best sunscreen to use. And actually it doesn't make any difference which sunscreen you use, because there's no such thing as bad sunscreens in Australia. You've just got to use enough of it. So some people use thicker ones, some people use a spray. Whatever you find comfortable, whatever you use enough of is a good sunscreen.
How many hours would it last if we...
Yeah, so it's going to last about 3 or 4 hours. And I think most people are beginning to realise the waterproof nature of these sunscreens is probably not very good, especially if it's, it says water resistant, waterproof. You can pretty much disregard that. Okay, so if you're going to go in the water at the beach or something, you probably do need to reapply a good lather of sunscreen after swimming.
Does it look like a cloud, have that white look, or do you need to rub it in?
No, you can rub it in. I mean, obviously the zinc type of sunscreens are thicker, and you tend to be left with a lot more of the whiteness. But some of the other ones which aren't as thick as that, you can rub it in, and it's fine as long as you're using a nice teaspoon on each part of the body.
Al Johnson did blackface.
We're not going to start on Snorky, are we?
Anyway, so if you want, we've got some details in the bags about the Skin Cancer Clinic in Hornsby. We've been going now for 11 or 12 years actually, and obviously I see a lot of familiar faces from there. So feel free to phone up and make an appointment. We've got 3 or 4 really good doctors there at the moment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ian.